Welcome back to Capitol Report. I'm Matt Swenson. This is State Representative Roger Reinert. Welcome back, Roger.
Thanks, Matt.
And I know that you folks have been working really quickly here on a lot of important issues at the state capitol. And one big thing on everybody's mind this session is the budget. And that's why you folks got to work on it so quickly, making $312 million in spending reductions in 10 specific areas of the state budget.
Right. I mean, that was the last big piece of 4 major bits of legislation that we worked on before the Easter break. And it's interesting to see in the process of the legislature now that those pieces are sort of out of the way. We're trying to figure out what the rest of that budget picture looks like. And, it's actually kind of semi-optimistic. We did the hard work first by finding those reductions. We held Health and Human Services off the table. We held K-12 education off the table. Those are clearly the 2 things that Minnesotans repeatedly say are top priorities for them. So as we look at the slightly less than $1 billion deficit we need to resolve, we have about $500 some million left. Now the good news is that with things that are going on in Washington and healthcare reform, it looks like $400 some million will come to Minnesota, and that's out of recognition for Minnesota as being really progressive in different programs that it has that are already in place. I mean, one of the things as this whole national healthcare debate rages is that other states are looking at Minnesota as an example. We're already there in many ways, and so potentially we have some $400 million coming from Washington. So if that piece falls into place, what we'll be trying to do is fund another $150 million. So that's the good news. The bad news is that $150 million is going to come from either Health and Human Services, nursing homes, support for people with disabilities, or K-12 education, all things that people care a lot about. But, I mean, those are the fiscal times that we're in. We try to set our priorities and budget based on those, and that's why Health and Human Services and K-12 have been held so far. But at the end of the day, that may be where that last 100 or 200 million needs to come from.
And you spoke about setting priorities, and I think it's important to mention to folks back home that in that first budget bill, you did prioritize veterans, actually increase veterans funding, and at the same time, you cut far less to cities and counties than the governor had originally proposed.
Right. Yeah, the bill really was done based on priorities, but I don't want to sugarcoat that there were, over $300 million in cuts made, and there's still some more cuts that are probably going to come. But, I mean, sadly, that's the economic times that we're in, and we have to be fiscally prudent with the state resources that we have.
And obviously the budget gets a lot of attention in the news and just basic conversation here around the Capitol, but there are a number of other pieces of legislation moving through the process, several of those bills that you have authored.
Right. 3 big things that I'll be working on during the rest of the session that are more policy things are, number 1, the income tax reciprocity issue, which people at home are very familiar with. The proposal I've got moving forward is now that reciprocity is dead, we use tax year 2010 as a new baseline study year for what is going on between Minnesota and Wisconsin in terms of the flow of people and income taxes paid, and then use that study year 2010 to go and renegotiate a new deal with Wisconsin. So we have bills moving in the Minnesota House, the Minnesota Senate, the Wisconsin Senate, and the Wisconsin Assembly. So I think that's in good shape. We've got a hearing this coming Monday the 19th in taxes on that. Another bill that I'm working on, which has big implications for the Northland, is a proposal for an enhanced driver's license. As many folks know now, with new security issues, you have to have either a passport or your birth certificate to cross the border. And especially for Northlanders, there are many people that cross the border frequently, if not daily, if not multiple times daily. We in Duluth know that you can find a lot of Ontario plates in Duluth on any given day. You go up to Thunder Bay, you can find a lot of Minnesota plates on any given day. So what this would allow for is if you voluntarily decide that you would like to have this enhanced driver's license, it has a little chip in it, and that chip doesn't contain any personal information. It just has a random number that connects to a database and says this is a legitimate citizen. So especially for people in places like I Falls that cross the border on a frequent basis, it just makes their lives easier. Not to mention that it's a $15 fee in addition to your driver's license fee versus a $55 passport card fee or $100, I think, and $10 now passport fees. So much cheaper for folks.
Well, a lot of great legislation moving through the process here at the state capitol. You got about 5 weeks left before you adjourn for the year.
Right.
So, well, I know you're on the home stretch here, so I know you'll come back and continue to inform us on what's happening here at the
Absolutely.
Capitol.
Happy to.
Thank you very much, and thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time on Capitol Report.